I'll take the time to tell you how much I love. Good evening, good evening, good evening, good evening, everyone. Good evening, everyone. Good evening. Welcome, 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 welcome to this month's Temple Care Matters webinar. I don't know about you, but I'm excited that we're able to share on this evening. I am your moderator for this evening, Michael Miner. Look, let me just make me a little higher here. There we go. And I am humbled to be the national director of our National Baptist Convention USA Incorporated Hope Health Ministry. And we're so glad that you joined us on this evening. Why don't you, like I'm doing right now, why don't you take this time to go out and share this with your Facebook family? Let some folks know that this month's webinar is happening and that they need to be a part of this on this evening. So do that, and we share. And again, we thank everybody who's joining us on social media, from our Facebook page, our National Baptist Convention USA Incorporated Facebook page. We are so excited that you joined us on this evening. We want to acknowledge our national leadership, Dr. Jerry Young, President, Dr. Alvin Edwards, our General Secretary, Dr. Alvin Love, the Chair of our Federal Faith-Based Initiative, and all of our team that makes this thing happening. We are appreciative of you joining us on this evening. All right, well, in this evening's Temple Care Matters webinar, Sister Ellen McKnight Hill will share about nutrition and healthy eating to focus on National Nutrition Month and Taste Test Sunday. March is National Nutrition Month, and this third Sunday in March 19th, as it's been for the last decade, is Taste Test Sunday across the National Baptist Convention. We'll also share about March's other suggested health services, including a National Cholesterol Cancer Awareness Month, World Kidney Day, which is a couple of days away on March 9th, National Women and Girls HIV/AIDS Awareness Day, which is March 10th, and American Diabetes Association Diabetes Alert Day on March 28th. All, of course, we're going to have our Let's Move NBC updates. And finally, we'll provide our mental health first aid training updates. Okay? Now, this evening's webinar is supported by funding from the NIH's All of Us research program. We want you to join our NBC USA Hope team and becoming one in a million and one of the nation's most robust research studies. To learn more, you may go to joinallofus.org/NBCUSA. Again, that's joinallofus.org/NBCUSA. This webinar is the 12th in a series of First Tuesday Temple Care Matters webinars that have involved into hybrid events with virtual and in-person watch gatherings in our local NBC USA congregations. We thank you all for your support all across the country and for your feedback and comments after the sessions. Now let's give our COVID-19 update. Well, we know the public health emergency will soon be coming to an end in our nation. All right, but the COVID-19 pandemic is far from over, say doctors, epidemiologists, and global health leaders. Here in the United States, there are about 2,000 deaths per week and 20,000 to 30,000 people hospitalized at any time. This is according to Dr. William Moss, Executive Director of the International Vaccine Access Center and professor at the Johns Hopkins Bloomberg School of Public Health. When the pandemic started, it is easier to determine when it was than when it will end. We're just unsure. The World Health Organization, they declared COVID-19 a global pandemic on March 11, 2020. When the pandemic will be over, it's more fuzzy. That's Dr. John Smerling, the senior faculty editor at Harvard Health Publishing says that this is something that we have to look for in this next phase as COVID-19 shifts into the endemic phase, meaning the virus is still with us, but doesn't spread out of control or put a strain on the healthcare system. When we enter the endemic phase, it will be easier to see in hindsight than predict. In other words, we'll know when it's over when it's over. So let's, when we find that there was an uptick in those cases, so you make sure to do what you have to do and you'll be great. And I know you've already had your vaccination and your booster. All right, now let's turn to this evening's feature, National Nutrition Month and Taste Test Sunday 2023. You know something? Many times on these webinars, we have to search high and low to find an expert to share. But we are fortunate to have an in-house guru of all things health and nutrition, one of the emerging national leaders in this field. Partner. The Maxine firm is a nutrition, public health, and wellness firm. The firm is powered by a network of healthcare professionals whose objective is chronic disease prevention in urban and rural areas, promoting healthy lifestyle changes and providing urban communities with economic development opportunities by way of fresh food access is Ellen's life goal and passion. Ellen is a member of the Baton Rouge Dietetic Association, the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics, National Organization of Blacks in Dietetics and Nutrition. And of course, we must include that she's a member of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. She also serves as the National Nutrition Coordinator of the National Baptist Convention USA Incorporated Hope Health Ministry. So, ladies and gentlemen, it is my honor to introduce our featured panelist for the evening, Sister Ellen McKnight Hill. Sister Ellen, it's in your hands.
Thank you so much, Dr. Miner. Hello, everyone. I am delighted to be here. I am Ellen McKnight Hill. I am a registered dietitian, nutritionist, and I am so excited to be speaking to you all this evening about the wonders of nutrition, and particularly how we can use nutrition to combat preventable chronic diseases, okay? So I hope you guys have your pencils, you have your papers. I am in the process of sharing my screen. And in the chat, whenever you can see the presentation, please let me know. I'm going to need your help. So if you can see the presentation, if you can see the first screen, the first slide, please let me know. But let's keep it, all right, let's keep it moving. We've already introduced myself. And so we're going to cover several topics this evening. And so, but they're all related to nutrition and chronic disease prevention. If you would like a handout, because I have never had a presentation and someone did not ask for the slide. So if you would like the handout to this presentation, you can text wellness to 225-334-8802, and you will get this handout and you can follow along with us and you can use it for your reference afterward. Again, that number is 225-334-8802, and you will get a copy of the handout texted directly to your phone. All right, let's go. So we're talking about all things wellness. We have a wonderful format that was put together by our sister Nettie Johnson, and it all talks about simple care. And there's so many different components of wellness. We got physical, mental, spiritual, emotional, social. But today we're going to be talking about the physical, and that is all-encompassing nutrition. All right. So let's talk about nutrition and the church. Let's start with the funeral. All right. So we have seen this scene so many times before, right? And when we gather together to celebrate the lives of our loved ones, oftentimes the most anticipated portion of the funeral is the repast. And I know you guys thought I was going to say the preach word, but much to my surprise, it is the repast, even though I am there for the preach word and celebrating the life of the person, but it's the repast. And so at the repast, we are all from different parts of the country, right? We're from different cities, from different states, different churches. We have different protocols. But some of the things that we find that are the same across the spectrum is what's going on in the white box. And we know the white box I'm talking about, okay? So I want you guys to think about the white box at the repast. And let's think about what's inside the white box, all right? Now, I want us to keep in mind in this conversation that African Americans are 2 times as likely to die from heart disease. We 56% of African American males have hypertension, and 57% of African American women have hypertension. And so when I heard those numbers, I said, man, that's alarming. That's really, really high. But when I thought about myself, my immediate family, I thought about those persons and some of my close friends, and I said, almost every one of them is experiencing hypertension or high blood pressure. So let's bear that in mind in this conversation. But now, the white box. This is the white box that I am referring to, okay? We all know it. We know what's going on inside it. But you know what? Just in case we don't, I'm going to see if we are working in the chat. So if you are in the chat and you can see this white box, that's right. If you can see this white box, let me know. Say, I can see it. I can see the white box. I've seen it before. Just let me know. Okay. Just let me know that I can see it. Thank you, Sister Wagner. She can see it. Okay, great, wonderful. So let's talk about what's in it. Now, since I know that your fingers are working and you can type, I need you to type with me. So if there is going to be a meat in this white box, 9 times out of 10, it's not going to be fish, okay? It's not going to be beef, and it's not going to be turkey. If there is a meat in this white box, tell me in the chat what type of meat this is. That's right, you guys know it. Now, we don't worship at the same church. We're not in the same city, same state, but you know what's in the white box, okay? And guess what? It's fried chicken. You guys are correct, Mundo. Now, I want to pause for the cause and shout out to Dr. Michael O. Minor, because in 2015, I saw there was somebody in the world who banned fried chicken from his church in an effort to improve the health outcomes of his parishioners. And when I found out who that was, I Googled him, found him on Twitter, and lo and behold, he was at the National Baptist Convention where I was. So I just want to shout him out there. But yes, that is what we are having. Now, that's right. That's right. Now, let's move even further to the next section. In the same box, if we're going to have a side item, 9 times out of 10, the side item is either it's going to be yellow. It's going to be cheesy. It's going macaroni and cheese. The people know. I see you guys coming in the comments. I didn't even have to go that long. Macaroni and cheese. Now, some folk, depending on where you are in the country, you might say, well, we do potato salad. But the people are real finicky about potato salad. They want to know who made it and where did it come from, so on and so forth. Okay, macaroni and cheese. And it looks like that. Now, I think it's amazing that we must be in the spirit, because flesh and blood did not reveal that to you guys. You all knew it was macaroni and cheese. But let's go deeper. If there is a vegetable in this box, okay, and you had to bet your last $1 million, what vegetable, and it's green, what vegetable would you? We in the spirit. We in the spirit. 9 times out of 10 is green beans, okay? And it's come out of a can. Now, if it's not green beans, it's either peas or corn, okay? But it's one or the other, all right? Now, let's keep it moving. We're not going to let this box pass us by, because we're going to have a dessert in the box, all right? So if we have a dessert in the box, 9 times out of 10, pound cake. And it's going to be store-bought unless somebody has had a labor of love and they say, I'm going to make you one from scratch. But 9 times out of 10, it is a heavily processed pound cake from the store-bought, meaning that it has loads of added sugar and it's been sitting there for weeks, waiting for us to come pick it up and purchase it. In addition to that, we may have peach cobbler, and somebody might have really, really, really cared about us and made one from scratch. But 9 times out of 10, the peaches are out of a can and they are not fresh. But you guys are right. It is pound cake and peach cobbler right there before your eyes. All right. Now, If by chance the aunt from California says, guys, we gotta have a vegetable in the box. Like we can't just not have any vegetables. And she says, let's just have some salad. And said, okay, yes, we're gonna add some side salad. Well, if we add side salad, what dressing is gonna go on that salad? There we are. There it is. That's the dressing that's gonna go on the oh, that's correct. Look at y'all. On top of it. So what do we want to talk about here? What is the bigger issue? While this is funny and this makes us laugh, we don't know each other for the most part, but we knew what was in the box. All right. And so that speaks to the culture. And while we have a wonderful culture, we have to be very, very careful about the things that we are consuming as it relates to our culture. All right. Now, culture is wonderful, culture is good, but there is a serious correlation between the things that we consume on a daily, not a daily basis, daily basis, and chronic diseases, preventable chronic diseases, okay? So if we don't know each other, we don't live in the same city or state, but we all knew what was in the box, meaning that we are all consuming these foods, it's not surprising that we are most impacted by heart disease, that we are most impacted by type 2 diabetes, that we are most impacted by stroke, kidney failure. The list goes on and on, all right? And these things are directly related to nutrition. I want us to bear in mind, now, although we love the store-bought cake and the peach cobbler is laden in added sugar, and that's linked to type 2 diabetes. Although we consume fried chicken probably more often than we should, we need to know that it is heavy laden with sodium and high cholesterol, which causes hypertension and which also causes heart disease. We also need to know, while we love a green bean, there is a fresh option, and we don't always have to use the can because the can is heavy laden with sodium, right? Now, we also know that uncontrolled diabetes combined with hypertension and limited water intake, because we're probably not drinking water at the funeral. We're probably drinking some type of red punch or lemonade of some kind, but something that is not water. So when we combine uncontrolled type 2 diabetes and we combine uncontrolled hypertension over time with limited water intake, that's a recipe for kidney failure, which is a recipe for dialysis. And we don't have time for dialysis, right? Right. So let's move over. So we know what the problem is. Let's talk about the solution, because the Hope Health Ministry for the National Baptist Convention is here to talk about solutions as it relates to our health. And so if we are to combat what we just spoke about, we're going to have to make some cultural shifts. All right. Those cultural shifts have to do with balancing our plate. We used to use the food pyramid, but now we use my plate. Dr. Mina loves my plate, okay? And the fun thing about my plate is every time you sit down to your plate, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, you want to make certain that that thing is balanced. You want to make certain it's colorful. You want to make certain that you have the 6 essential nutrients. You want to make certain that you have the 5 food groups, okay? But if you can't remember anything else I said, I want you to remember that that plate needs to be colorful. If you think back to that white box, everything in that box was either brown, yellow, or white. 9 times out of 10, if everything on your plate that you're consuming on a day-to-day basis is either brown, yellow, or white, it's either high in added sodium, it's high in added sugar, or it's high in saturated fat. And we know that those things are linked to those preventable chronic diseases that we just mentioned. All right. So let's talk about solutions. Whole grains. Now, if we are going to be consuming grains, we want to make certain that we are consuming as many whole grains as we possibly can. Okay. So think about the grains that you eat: bread, tacos, hot dogs, chips, tortillas, rice, what have you, toast. Think about the grains you consume and decide to make a shift to whole grains. Why? We want to make a shift to whole grains because whole grains do 3 things, and you want to write this down. Whole grains help lower your total cholesterol. Total cholesterol should be under 200 grams per deciliter. Whole grains help keep you fuller longer because they're higher in fiber. We don't want impacted waste to be in our gastrointestinal tract, so we need to consume foods that are high in fiber. Whole grains are also, for those who are experiencing type 2 diabetes or are pre-diabetic or have a history of type 2 diabetes in their family, we want to consume whole grains because they are complex carbohydrates and they have a lower glycemic index. What does that mean? It takes whole grains a longer time to break down in the bloodstream such that the blood sugar does not spike. And we want our blood sugars to be regulated. So bear that in mind. All right. I hope you wrote it down because we're moving on. Now, here's some examples of whole grains that are found in the store that you may be already consuming, but this is an opportunity for you to switch it out. This is not about what you can't eat, but it's about what you can eat, what you can do, substitutions that you can make. So here you have whole grain waffles, whole grain peanut butter snacks, whole grain goldfish, whole grain crackers, whole grain spaghetti. We make quite a bit of pasta down here in the South. And if we're consuming pasta, let's try a whole grain option. Whole grain brown rice, whole grain bread. Now, if you are trying to do the right thing and buy a whole grain bread option, you want to make certain that bread says whole grain bread. All right. And honey wheat is not whole grain. All right. And if you don't know if it's a whole grain product, I'm going to take you back. Look for this stamp. This is the stamp. Okay, this is what you want right here. If it doesn't have the stamp, read the ingredient list. And if the ingredients, if the first ingredient says whole grains, that's what we want. Okay? The majority of the saturated fat that causes heart attack, that raises high cholesterol, that causes heart disease, comes from saturated fat. So the fewer the feet, the leaner the meat. We want the leanest possible proteins every time that we sit down to our plate, okay? So let's get in the chat one more time. Let's get in the chat one more time. It's time to talk. Now, if we don't want to consume the leanest protein, again, the riddle is the fewer the feet, the leaner the meat. So if you are still with us, let me know what's leaner. Is it a cow or a turkey? What's leaner? And when I say leaner, I mean lower in saturated fat. That's right, Sister Cecilia. That's right, Sister Joy. That's right, Sister Cornelia. That's right. It's leaner if it's turkey. All right. Now, and again, we want it to be leaner because it's lower in saturated fat, right? Saturated fat is linked to heart attack, and we don't have time for a heart attack. Now, what's leaner? A pig, pork, or chicken? What is leaner? And you can tell you, and at any time you are watching this, I want you to go ahead and put that information in the chat. Share it with somebody you know who is experiencing heart disease or high blood pressure or high cholesterol. That's right, Sister Iris. That's right, Sister Carolyn. That's right, Sister Stephanie. Chicken is the leaner option. All right. Now, here it is. We have the option for white meat or dark meat chicken. If we want a leaner protein that's lower in saturated fat and we don't have time for a heart attack, do we want white meat or dark meat? Which one? That's right. That's right. Correct. Correct. Do we want white meat chicken or do we want fish? Which one? Do we want white meat chicken? That's right, Sister Angela. Okay, Sister Ophelia, Sister Dorothy, y'all are on the ball. Now, if we are trying to consume the healthiest, heart healthiest fish, we want our fatty fishes, okay? And so that means that we want the fish that are high in omega-3 fatty acids. Those omega-3 fatty acids help fight the bad cholesterol. Those omega-3 fatty acids, that's right, those omega-3 fatty acids help improve our mental cognition. Those omega-3 fatty acids help improve our mood, our anxiety, depression, all of those things, okay? And so you guys are listing some wonderful fatty fish in the chat. So I'm going to say them again for those who aren't in the chat. Next time, y'all got to get in the chat, all right? For those who aren't in the chat, so that's salmon, that's mackerel, that's tuna, those are sardines. These are our healthier fish. Now, I want you to be careful. I want you to be careful because when we are choosing these fish, we want to make certain that they are wild caught because we want fish that are not full of antibiotics. We want fish that are not farmed. We want real fish, okay? And so make certain that you are being mindful of that. Now, what's leaner? Fish or beans and nuts and seeds. Legumes is what we call them. Correct. These things, these beans, these nuts, these seeds, these legumes, these are heart healthy. These are sources of protein, okay? We just want you to be mindful that as you are consuming or choosing nuts and seeds, that they are unsalted when you purchase them, okay? Because we have to be mindful of sodium. Now, I spoke about my plate earlier. We've already talked about whole grains. That's what we want. We've talked about lean proteins. But what we want to do is continue to shift the culture around our plate. 9 times out of 10, the most important thing on the plate, or the most sought after items on the plate, are our grains and our proteins. But we've got to make a switch over to fruits and vegetables, okay? The majority of the vitamins and minerals that our bodies need come from fruit and vegetables. We talked about a colorful plate. Well, that's where the color comes from. What if you have acid reflux? That's a good thing. You want to stay away from the acidic foods, the red foods. That's a good thing, okay? But there are a plethora of different colors that you can look at. So there are blue foods, purple foods, yellow foods, orange foods, green foods. And so we want you to lean towards those, okay? Now, if you have acid reflux, make certain that you check with your primary care provider and you check with your clinical registered dietitian to come up with a plan or a strategy for foods that you can eat that don't cause you aggravation, okay? But that's a good point about the acid reflux, all right? But again, that's the medicine before the medicine. The red foods, high in lycopene. We know that lycopene helps fight prostate cancer. The blue foods, the purple foods, the eggplant, the raspberries, the blueberries, the blackberries, we know that those foods are high in antioxidants. Antioxidants fight what? Free radicals in the body that cause cancer. Cancer is all over the place. It's in the air, it's in the water, it's in the food that we eat, it's in the chemicals that we inhale. And so if we have an opportunity to put something in our bodies that help fight cancer, we want to do that at every opportunity. So we need to make certain that plate is colorful, okay? Now, if you're consuming canned items, you want to make certain that can says no salt added. We talked about the can of green beans and corn and peas that we consume, but those things are high in sodium. And we know that sodium and hypertension is the silent killer, okay? You can have high blood pressure, feel completely fine, and then have a stroke. You can have high blood pressure, feel completely fine, and then have a heart attack. And then also, like we mentioned earlier, uncontrolled hypertension or high blood pressure over time can lead to kidney failure, and we don't have time for dialysis. All right, let's keep it moving. Now, the last thing on my plate is dairy. All right, now there's a lot of controversy around dairy, but here's the deal. Cow's milk is for cows and people milk is for people. Now, what we want from dairy is vitamin D and we want calcium. We want vitamin D and we want calcium. What we don't want from dairy is the added sugar, because we know that's linked to type 2 diabetes. We don't want the added fat, and we don't want the sodium that comes in dairy products, okay? So there are dairy alternatives. Now, we're not saying never eat dairy, you love ice cream. Listen, we're not saying that. We want to say, be mindful, moderation. If you're doing cheese, which is typically high in cholesterol, make certain that you choose low-fat cheese, okay? If you're doing a packaged cheese, which is laden with sodium as well, look for a low-sodium item. Write this down. If you are looking to consume low-sodium items, flip the food label around and make certain that it is under 140 milligrams per serving. If that item is under 140 milligrams per serving, it is a low sodium item. And we want to consume low sodium items, okay? Or unsalted, all right? Because sodium sneaks up on us, all right? Now, if you are consuming your milk, you want to try to consume low fat, fat-free skim milk, right? Now 70% of African Americans will eventually not be able to tolerate lactose or tolerate milk products. And that's because dairy products and milk products, for the most part, milk is for baby calves, 400-pound baby calves. And over time, your 120 to 175-pound body cannot handle that. All right. And so we want to move away from those things and consider some plant-based options. So there are things like cashew milk, almond milk, oat milk. You want to just make certain that you compare those food labels and make certain that you have the original option or the unsweetened option. Please don't go out and get strawberry flavored cashew milk or oat milk or vanilla flavored cashew milk or oat milk or almond milk, because That's the added sugar that we're trying to stay away from. So I want you to bear those things in mind. Now, listen, the reality is this: everybody is making money when we are not well. Everyone else is making money when you and I, folks who look like you and I, are not well. So last year, the pharmaceutical industry made $1.4 trillion. Selah. Last year, the healthcare industry made $19 billion. Selah again. And even last year, the casket making companies made $650 million. Now, why am I saying this? From illness to the grave, to the funeral that we started with, everyone is making money off of us and our illness. But the folks who are over these companies don't look like you and I. So what we want to do is we have to make wellness our priority. It has to be important to us. We have to change some cultural foods. We have to shift the importance of wellness on the front end. If we ever got well, some folks will go broke, and that's all right. Okay. So if you have any questions about what we discussed today, I will be here at the end of this presentation. Thank you so much, Dr. Miner, for the opportunity to share. I am going to kick it back over to you and available for questions after.
Wow. That's all I can say. Wow. I'm trying to look at some of the things that people said here on our social media. All right. Everybody's living it. And you do have your normal, I always say the Ellen McKnight Hill cadre who are going to continue to support you. All right. And they wanted you to know that it was fire. Yeah, fire. Okay.
Shut up.
All right. All right. Fire. Fire. Look, I'm going to say one more thing before we to the next part. Last night on our call, Sister Ellen was cooking dinner. And I'm telling you, as she was cooking that dinner, you know, sometimes people just cook and just cook. And I could see the love in her face as she was cooking for her husband. Some of y'all wonder why your food doesn't taste that well. It's because there's no love when you're cooking. I thought I'd throw it in for free. All right. All right. And we're just anxious to all right. We're anxious. We're so excited for Sister Ellen as she pursues. She's working toward her doctorate. And I just have no doubt that in the future, she's going to be one of the top people in our nation when it comes to this. So let's keep praying for her and keep her in mind. And I'm just so thankful that she's part of the National Baptist Convention, USA Incorporated. All right. Look, we want to remind everyone about our collaboration with the National Institutes of Health. And it's All of Us research program. Now, our community isn't just unique in culture and tradition, but also in our health needs. Participating in the All of Us research program is a step towards making sure health research considers all our needs. Let me break it down to you. For the National Baptist Convention, USA Incorporated, we're excited about this effort because this is going to be one of the largest databases ever assembled with people with sickle cell or the sickle cell trait. We're hoping that as researchers from the research bench use this information, that we'll be able to find a cure or at the very least, much better treatments for sickle cell. So why don't you take time tonight and go to joinallofus.org/NBCUSA to enroll in the program, help make our research more inclusive. And let me tell you something. If you've already gone, you've already joined, why don't you share with someone else so they can be a part of this? I know it takes a few minutes to get it started and whatnot, but we have been receiving reports back from all over the country and how people are excited about this opportunity to make history. And one other thing we'll share, you know how it is when you go to the doctor's office and they try different medications on you to see which ones work. Well, look, that's why you need to come and go to joinallofus.org NBC USA. It's time for precision medicine. Instead of them experimenting on us, they can look at us and know what's worked. So once again, why don't you go to joinallofus.org/NBC USA. And in the words of the late Joan E.W. Golden, a gospel DJ in the Memphis area, you'll be glad you did. All right. Now, March is National Colorectal Cancer Awareness Month. We can save lives with prevention awareness. Colorectal cancer, or CRC, is the second deadliest cancer in the United States. I think many of y'all know that we were robbed from an even better sequel from the folks from, you know what, I'll see if you put in the chat. It was a movie that would have been even better, but the star of the first movie succumbed to this disease. And we'll see in our chat if people know who that actor was who died from this disease. So during this month, we spotlight disease and we want to inspire more people, yes, to get checked starting now, the lowering age to age 45. Two reasons why getting checked matters. Screening can find the warning signs of colorectal cancer, letting doctors take action to prevent the disease. Screening can also find colorectal cancer early when treatment is most effective. 1 in 24 people will be diagnosed with CRC in their lifetime, but you can make a difference today. Learn about ways to build awareness, how to get support, and more. Tomorrow, can't wait. I'm going to also make this personal. My aunt cared for everybody. My oldest aunt, she was a mother to us all, especially after my grandmother passed. She made sure everybody made their doctor's appointments, her husband, her children, her grandchildren, her great-grandchildren. The only person that she didn't do that for was herself. And so she kept having some issues with her digestive system, and she just kept putting it off. When we finally just literally, her sisters had almost knocked her in the head to go to the doctor, she was diagnosed with colon cancer. And obviously at that point, it was too late. And she died. And I'll be honest with you, it really upset me. I'll be honest with you. I was upset with her. I was angry because I feel like she should have done something about it. But then I realized it wasn't for me to be angry about it, but it was for me to share it with others so that they would know what to do and how to do. The good thing for her, she lived up into her 80s. She lived a good life and saw her children to grow old, to get grown. So in the memory of my aunt, why don't you share with somebody, if it's your time, to get checked so that you can not worry about this. Remember, tomorrow can't wait. All right. Now it's time for our monthly Let's Move National Baptist update. Okay, so let's hear from our NBC USA Hope Movement guru, Sister Nettie Johnson. Sister Nettie, and also she might have give away a little cha-ching. Sister Nettie.
Yes, indeed. We do have a little something for one of the participants that just keeps on moving. And y'all, we just want to thank everybody for your continued consistency in this activity movement, as well as welcoming new members. I did send a slide, and I'm not sure if it's available. If it's not, we'll put it up on the Hope webpage. We want to thank, again, the new members that came in, again, just in the last couple of weeks. People are continuing to share the word, spread the word, and to encourage others as you're moving for your health. So please do keep doing that. I also want to remind you to go on ahead and continue to track. The March data sheet is available. If you need a copy of that, you can just put that information in the chat, or you can put it on our Facebook page. If you're a member, it's in your mailbox. We want to make sure that you are tracking as you go along, not only because turning that in can get you in the drawing for the giveaway. That's just a little lanyard incentive. The main thing is that these are pages that will go into your personal wellness workbook so that you can look for trends, you can look for patterns, you can look for progress, and you can adjust things to make sure that you are doing your exercise and your activity, your movement in a way that is appropriate and that will advance you towards your goals. So this is golden information. So make sure that you are tracking your data as you go forward. And those that do turn it in, of course, you go into the drawing, and we'll give the drawing for this month in just a hot second. But before we do that, we do want to also remind you about an upcoming webinar that is designed for Let's Move National Baptist members to participate for free. And that is our Goals Masterclass. It was to be held in February, but due to bereavement, it got moved to March. That particular session will be held on March 18th at 11 o'clock. And I believe there's a slide that'll come up with a copy of the link. There it is. If you go to bit.ly goals 22523, that was the prior date, but that's the link to register. I'll go on ahead and pop that into the chat. So go on ahead, and if you are available during that time, we're going to talk about how do you set goals that are exciting, that motivate you, that are achievable, and that can take you towards your goals. Now, we're going to do this with the example of fitness as the actual target example that we will use, but the concept will be applicable to any area of your life. So putting in place some of that absolutely phenomenal and truly life-changing information that Sister Ellen shared with us about nutrition. You can use this for financial goals, for relationship goals. How about for goals that you may have in deepening your relationship with the Lord? So the applications are up to you. We're going to give you some solid principles that can help you to make goals that stick, goals that you can achieve, and goals that advance you to where you want to be. So with that said, and I will drop those in the chats, those links in the chat so that you can have them. And we would like to congratulate on the call today, one of our Let's Move National Baptist movers. And I actually saw you chatting up a storm when Sister Ellen was presenting. So congratulations to Sister Ophelia Carr. Sister Ophelia Carr, you are this month's Let's Move National Baptist $100 gift card winner. Congratulations to you.
All right, Sister Carr, you're unmuted. So congratulations, Sister Carr. Sister Carr, we see your mic's unmuted. Are you able to speak?
Yes.
All right, go right ahead. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Can you
Bravo
hear?
on your movement and your consistency. Yes, ma'am, we can hear you.
Oh, it's, you know, when you, with the walking and other exercises that I do, it keeps my mind on God. I can hear him speaking to me on a daily basis. So, and it also just makes me feel good and look beautiful. So thank you so much for that, for the gift, but also just thank you to allow me to be part of the Let's Move movement.
Thank you so much. And did y'all hear her say that it also helps her look beautiful come through? Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. We love it. Thank you so much.
You're so welcome. Thank you.
And we're so glad to be connected to you, Sister Carr. Roots are back to my hometown of Coldwater, Mississippi.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And whatnot. So she's out, and one of our regional health ambassadors. So
congratulations. Where's Coldwater? Where's that at? Coldwater.
30 miles south of Memphis, Coldwater, Mississippi.
Oh, you way up at the top.
Yeah, that's the only place you can take a hot bath in Coldwater.
Well, thank you all. And y'all keep spreading the word about Let's Move National Baptist to all of you that are members. We love having new members come in. And there may be a little added incentive next month for those that encourage others to join. When people join, there's now a field that said who referred you. So tell them to put your name, and there may be a little something for folks there too. But thank you all. Let's keep moving for our health. God bless. Be well. Back to you, Dr. Minus.
Thank you. Thank you. Back to you. All right, wonderful, wonderful. And also, we're keeping up alive a dream that our former First Lady of the United States, Michelle Obama, one of her hopes was that people across the country would continue to do this, and this is certainly wonderful. So wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. All right, and I know we do have Sister Carr's contact information. All right, there we go. Now let's take a moment to share our information about our other health services that are happening this month. On Thursday is World Kidney Day. World Kidney Day is a global campaign aimed at raising awareness of the importance of our kidneys. World Kidney Day comes back every year across the globe. There's many hundreds of events that take place, from public screens in Argentina to Zumba marathons in Malaysia. We do it all to create awareness. Awareness about preventive behaviors, awareness about risk factors, and awareness about how to live with a kidney disease. We do this because we want kidney health for all. All right. It's also Friday, National Women and Girls HIV Awareness Day. Friday is the day to raise awareness about the impact of HIV on women and show support for women and girls with HIV. All right. March 28th, American Diabetes Association's Diabetes Alert Day. Observed annually on the fourth Tuesday in March by the American Diabetes Association. Diabetes Alert Day is a one-day wake-up call that focuses on the seriousness of diabetes and the importance of understanding your risks. And of course, we will remind you all again, amen, that the third Sunday is Taste Test Sunday. And we do want to thank you all. Look, we were kind of remiss. I'm not as young as I used to be, not old as I'm going to get. We are still thanking everybody for the pictures. Oh, my goodness. All the pictures from Wear Red Sunday. We're actually still putting up pictures. So thank you for it. And we're now looking forward to you all for the third Sunday in March for those healthy dishes. I am going to prepare a healthy alternative to pulled pork. That's what I'm preparing for on the third Sunday. All right, some healthy desserts. So we're looking forward to the pictures, the recipes, and everything that we have. All right, I tell you what, we've been talking about it. If we get enough recipes come in, we'll get us a cookbook going. But anyway, on the third Sunday, we certainly hope that you'll do that. And you can go to our National Baptist Convention website and download information, a toolkit for Taste Test Sunday. All right. We want to give you an update on our mental health first aid training. Sister Bettina Campbell has been working with our trainer, and we have come up with some dates. We're trying to solidify those to make sure there's nothing conflicting with our National Baptist events. And when those come out, those of y'all that have on the Zoom part will email you. Those that are not and watching through social media, thank you. Wow, all the folks from all our different Facebook and YouTube pages. You can email info. I'm gonna type this in because I'm doing the chat too on that, info@hopenbc.com. If you just go to info@hopenbc.com and say that you like information about the mental health first aid training, we will take care of that for you. All right. Okay. Woo! We have covered, I say this every time, don't I? Much this evening, but the best part is coming now. We want to hear from you. You may type in the chat or raise your hand, the virtual hand. Those watching on social media, will do our best to capture your questions. We once again want to thank the NIH's All of Us Research Program for being our major supporter this evening. Let's not forget all of our March marketing updates, especially Taste Test Sunday. You may download a list of all of our annual health services from our website, hopenbc.com. You'll find additional resources on our NBC USA Hope webpage as well. Upcoming events, you can join us March 24th and 25th for the Southwest 2 NBC USA Hope Regional Conference. That'll be at the Greater First Baptist Church in Houston, Texas, Pastor Rory Thompson. And we will, and our Sister Linda Copper as our Southwest 2 Regional Coordinator. For registration information, email info@hopenbc.com. info@hopenbc.com. Coming down, we have some special things that we have planned around health and post-pandemic leadership. And yes, and I am coming. I'm flying from the Memphis area down to Houston, and I'm looking forward to sharing for those people down there in that region Texas and Louisiana and Arkansas. We're looking for a great time there. Amen. All right, and here's the agenda for our next NBC Hope Temple Care Matters webinar, which will be on April 4th. That's a Tuesday, of course, the first Tuesday, April 4th, 2023. We're going to talk about Dr. Lavora Williams will lead us in discussions as we talk about Minority Health Month, National Autism Awareness Month, and World Health Day, which will be April 7th. So join us next month for our Temple Care Matters webinar, focus on Minority Health Month. All right, we also want to give you a save the date reminder for the NBC USA Hope Southwest 1 Regional Conference at the Mount Olive Baptist Church in Meridian, Mississippi. Pastor A.D. Lewis is the host. Pastor A.D. Lewis is the host, and it's also the East Mississippi Baptist State Convention. Pastor Ecclesiastes Goodwin will be there on April 28th and 29th for our Southwest 1 regional meeting. And Southwest 1 is Mississippi, Tennessee, Alabama, Kentucky. We hope to see you there. For additional information about that, you can also email info@hopenbc.com, and we certainly hope to see you all there. All right. You may join us on the web and social media. Facebook page is Baptist USA Incorporated Hope Health Ministry. Our Twitter feed is at Hope_NBC USA. Our YouTube channel is NBC USA Hope. If you'd like to enroll in some of our training, I help you training, you can email info@hopenbc.com or call 901-603-0762. Again, 901-603-0762. We'd appreciate your feedback. Would you kindly complete our webinar survey? We paste the link in the chat. Amen. And for those on the social media, give us a moment, and we will have the survey there for you as well. All right. I think we're about ready. We already have some questions I'm seeing here now. That we have some questions. All right, y'all are ready tonight, and we want to be able to field those questions now. Okay, I think we'll start with Sister Ellen. Sister Ellen, we have some questions for you. Okay, and wow, you're gonna find this interesting. It's saying, how can you have a healthy repast when nobody wants to cook or do it? I guess basically they're saying they try to do the quickest, most affordable way of getting together. So what are your suggestions? That sounds like somebody. Anyway, go ahead. What are your suggestions on that one?
That's a great thing. That's a great. I totally understand. It's a press for time. So on and so forth. The larger conversation is that even outside of the repast, these are foods that we eat commonly. At church functions, outside of church functions, this is something that we commonly eat. And so if we're going to be doing chicken, let's think about a healthier way to prepare it in bulk. So baked works well in that large aluminum pan, right? So like mass seasoning, putting the foil over it. Let's put some onions, like some, real seasoning on there and bake it. Now, I heard the piece about the time, and I hear you. That's real. That's a real conversation. But either you're going to put the timing on the front end, or you're going to put the time will be taken from you on the back end when you're in a hospital bed, or you're in a long-term care facility because of dialysis or hypertension or high blood pressure, or high cholesterol or chronic heart disease, because we can only drink so much water because of the fluid on our lungs. And so, that's a really good question. I'm so glad that you asked it. But when we made the statement about shifting conversations and culture, we have to make a decision that this is important. Like we spend time, hours getting our hair done because it's important. Like we spend hours at the nail shop getting our nails and our toes done. It's important, right? And so that's one way, baking the chicken. If we're going to do the green beans, perhaps we can get the large bag of the frozen green beans because that's a better option for us. Also, same thing with any vegetable. You know, perhaps we can look through the Taste Test Sunday or the Veganish Cookbook and look for some uh yeah, taste test. I mean, and look for some like sugar-free options for our desserts that still taste good, they are enjoyable. I'm not talking about eating stuff that tastes like cardboard. I'm talking about eating stuff that tastes good, or fresh fruit option for the dessert, because that can be sweet and tasty as well and satisfy that sweet tooth, you know. And then, you know, with the salad, guys, I mean, if we just got to have the ranch, there's low fat ranch. You know, there's Italian vinaigrette based dressings as well that we can have it. So just having options available. If the ranch is going to be on the scene, just get low fat from now on to help keep everybody's cholesterol down. But that's a really good question because it's real. It's real. Time is of the essence.
Well, I'm gonna get country with you
What?
and let you know it's free food. And I'm gonna tell you right now, if you cook it, you worried about them whether they want some or not, and they want the ranch, you just put that dressing out there, what you have, the healthy choices, and I guarantee you, folks will eat it. I'm a witness. I'm a witness. If you put it out there, they may gripe, they may something. Where's the ranch? But you see them pulling that healthy choice. Always remember, it's FREE.
Thank you, Dr. Minor.
Okay. All right. Now, what can we do here? Okay. Oh my goodness. Listen, salmon. What about catfish? That's the official fish of Black people.
Okay. That's a great question. We're not saying all things in moderation, right? Let's talk about the preparation of catfish. 9 times out of 10, we are not grilling the catfish. We are yet frying the catfish. So let's start there. We like catfish. What does it mean to bake it? What does it mean to grill it? What does it mean to blacken it? And I've had it in all of those ways, and it still was tasty. Now, we talked about fatty fish earlier because we want fish that are high in omega-3 fatty acids. Those omega-3s are healthy fats, help improve our heart health. That helps drive down total cholesterol. It helps improve good cholesterol. It helps with cognition. It helps with mood. It helps with anxiety. It helps with depression, right? We want the fattier fish. So the salmon, mackerel, trout, tuna, sardines, all of those things, fattier fish. Catfish is not fatty. And I'm just gonna leave it there. So if we're gonna do catfish in moderation, we wanna check the preparation method, but more often than not, we're making a shift. So we want to try to consume more wild-caught fatty fish. But that's a great question.
Okay. All right. Somebody wants to know, what can I do with our culinary committee who always wants to fix our pastor a huge plate?
Well, we don't want him to die, do we? Too soon. And so we were on the call last night, and there's a pastor that's passing away suddenly. And so, you know, if you love somebody, you want to make certain that you do what's best for them or in their best interest. And you know, pastors are stressed out. They're dumping ground for issues. It's a stressful profession. And so the last thing that we want to do is to worsen the situation by, you know, giving our pastors or our leaders, you know, things that just aren't good for their temple. You know, if they're sick, they can't leave. You know, if they're in the hospital, they can't come to Bible study. And you know how we get when we pull up on the parking lot and pastor's car is not there on Sunday and he's not preaching. Y'all drive away. So anyway, what can we do? That's a good question. It's the same thing. So think about what we are already doing. What do we already like? If we like to if pastor likes spaghetti, can we do a whole grain pasta? Just cook it longer. Don't even tell him it's a whole grain pasta, right? That's just going to help his cholesterol. It's going to help
Don't
his
tell
heart,
him. Gotcha. I heard
right?
you.
You know, like add some vegetables in there when we are sauteing that ground meat. And instead of sauteing ground beef, let's saute ground turkey, right? Let's chop onions and garlic and celery into that ground meat and season it, as opposed to Tony Chachere's that we use up here. If you're on the East Coast, I think y'all use Old Bay. I don't know, but let's use some low sodium options. let's use some kosher salt, instead of the lady with the umbrella. Let's use some substitutions, right? If he likes hamburgers, let's try turkey burgers. Let's try a whole grain bun. Let's put some lettuce, some tomatoes, some onions on that thing so we can have some vegetables, right? If we are doing fries, let's try to make them real potatoes. Season them with our red pepper, our kosher salt, and then use olive oil or grapeseed oil or avocado oil instead of other unhealthier oils to put them in the oven. So let's think about what he likes and let's use some substitutions. If you're unsure about the substitutions, contact us at the Hope Ministry and we can figure out what we can do. Maybe Hope can come on out there and talk to the congregation.
Okay. Well, somebody said that you didn't say collard greens were bad.
Collard greens are not bad. I'm so glad that we talked about that because these are one of our cultural foods that are high in vitamin K. Now you want to watch that vitamin K if you're on warfarin or Coumadin. So make certain that you talk to your primary care physician and your clinical registered dietitian so they can pull your lab work and come up with something that's individualized for you. But collard greens, mustard greens, turnip greens, these are vegetables, okay? These are healthy vegetables. They offer our body so many good things. And the only thing that we have to be careful about is the preparation method. And so we want the greens, we don't want the sodium. So, if we are going to be seasoning our greens, we want to use more of the Trinity that we call it down here in Louisiana. And that's garlic, that's onion, that's bell pepper, that's celery. But when we're seasoning it, we want to stay away from the ham of hock because the leaner the feet, the fewer the feet, the leaner the meat. So let's try a smoked turkey instead of pigtails and pig feet and pork, you know what I'm saying, in this pot, right? Let's try smoked turkey instead, right? And I think that you'll be pleasantly surprised that you can still maintain the integrity of the dish without ruining your blood vessels.
Okay. All right. So we have one on Zoom here. So Adrian's asking, what are the six essential vitamins?
The 6 essential nutrients that I mentioned earlier, that's a good question. So the 6 essential nutrients that you want to make certain that you have on your plate. 9 times, so you have 5 food groups, that's dairy, protein, grains, fruit, and vegetables. But from those 5 groups, you want the 6 essential nutrients. And so those are carbohydrate, protein, and fat. These are the energy yielding nutrients. This is the only thing that gives your body energy. The other 3 essential nutrients are vitamins, minerals, and water. That's the 6 essential nutrients. But of the 6, carbohydrates, proteins, and fat are the only thing that provide energy for the body. They're the only energy yielding nutrients. Vitamins and minerals do not give you energy. They aid in the energy yielding process through glycolysis and the Krebs cycle. The body needs magnesium to start the Krebs cycle and glycolysis to form ATP, adenosine triphosphate. But we need fat, protein, and carbohydrates. Those are energy yielding nutrients. And then we also need vitamins, minerals, and water. Those are the 6 essential. And we get those from my plate.
All right. They want to know when they can pick up a copy of. Wait a minute, you hadn't done this yet. I'm asking, where can they pick up a copy of your book on nutrition?
Well, you guys are in the spirit, okay? And you are speaking things that be not. If you would like a wellness journal, it's on the website, okay? And we can get the information out to everybody who registered, and so we can get it out through Hope. But that's where you can be connected. But again, everything is on www.themaxineFirm.com, or you can connect with Hope.
All right. So there's no book in the future then, what we're saying?
Not the immediate future, okay? But it's in the atmosphere. Stretch your hands towards me as I do the work of the Lord.
They had some good questions tonight. Oh man.
Good questions. Great questions.
So all right. So let's see what we got here. Somebody I guess was something about the TED Talk. They were saying about that. So I listened about the nutrition, but not they just want to say what kind of experience, and also kudos and congratulations about the TED Talk. And some of you probably that watched tonight haven't heard this that Sister Ellen had a TED Talk. So you want to say something about that for our viewers?
Yes. And so the work that I do is all around chronic disease prevention in rural and urban communities, primarily related to Black and Brown folks, right? And so this stuff has to be relatable. It has to be culturally appropriate. So often organizations come into our community who would like to do good, but the communication is not happening. We're not reaching our people. And so, change is not taking place. And so the TED Talk was a wonderful experience. We only have a certain amount of time to convey a message. And the message that I was trying to convey during the TED Talk is that I firmly believe that we can shift conversations and culture around wellness as it relates to chronic disease and nutrition.
All right, there you go. And I know we put a link on the National Baptist page, so you can go and check that out and see what's on there. Somebody wants to know if I was talking about you were cooking with love. They want to know, what were you cooking for your husband?
I was cooking spaghetti for my husband. Okay. And I'm so glad you asked. Okay. I was using whole grain pasta. I had turkey, ground turkey, the Trinity, the whole thing. That's what I was cooking because I'm from the South.
Folks, I listen to. They're not every detail tonight. I mean, people are just picking up on. Let's see what.
And he said he liked it. So he said he would like. I would call him in here, but he's a shy, quiet man. So
actually got no sense. You better not. You didn't label over the whole thing anyway. All right. So I think I got a couple more questions. So people asking about in your background behind you, these different things. I guess I'm just curious about what those things are, I guess.
Okay, well, these are around my office. There are different events that I've done. Okay, so every time that the organization does an event, we make a poster or a flyer. But anywho, the one directly behind me, this is with the YWCA, and it is the partner of the YMCA, but they wanted to have a wellness series for 6 weeks. Twice a year, and we come in and we talk about different topics concerning wellness because their HR department said that they were having a lot of people call off because of hypertension and type 2 diabetes. And so that was causing their insurance to go up. And so they needed some folks to come in to do some wellness development. And so we gladly did that work. This was What the Health documentary. We did aerobics. This was Coffee and Conversations with Women in Detroit, Michigan, the Well Women. And so it's just the experiences that we have had in the community around wellness.
All right. And this is the last question. This is the last question. They want to know what got you started in this. What inspired you to do nutrition? I think they're probably looking at the fact that you're Black and young and all this other type of stuff, all things get into and everything. So why you get involved with this stuff? I mean, you're from Louisiana too.
I am from Louisiana, and so I am accustomed to good food. But I got involved in this for a couple of different reasons. So my grandmother had 6 siblings. Of the 6 siblings, 5 had type 2 diabetes. Of those 5 that had type 2 diabetes, 5 of them were diagnosed with Alzheimer's and dementia. And so there is research now that we know that type 2 diabetes is directly related or linked or has a correlation between Alzheimer's and dementia because of the amount of sugar, brain degradation, so on and so forth. So that was one piece, and it really shifted the dynamic of my family because so many people were sick, so many people, it was traumatic. People, and so whenever folks are experiencing chronic diseases, now we have caregivers. People cannot work. The quality of life changes. There's a member on our team, and let's lift up prayers for Sister Minor. It is very taxing on the caregiver. So when there is a family member who is unable to care for themselves, it doesn't just affect that family member, it affects everyone around them. And so when this is disproportionately happening to Black people, we mentioned earlier that so many entities are making so much money off of our illness. And so, I went to Southern University and A&M College. We have a stellar nursing program, but I can't do vomit. And so I said, what can I do to be a part of the solution? And that is prevention. And I chose nutrition.
Okay. All right, that's it. You all have asked some of the most interesting questions we've ever had on this. So I thank everybody. I guess it was the way she presented us, but this is going down in the history. But everybody, keep her in your prayers as she continue to go up. On one of these days, we'll say we knew her win. So thank you again, Sister Ellen McKnight Hill, for sharing. All right, everybody. Well, this concludes the Q&A period. And I want to get ready to close out. And I want to just take this opportunity now to thank our wonderful NBCSA Hope team, Dr. Desi Levy, Sister Lottie Minor, Sister Bettina Campbell, Pastor Destin Moraney. We saw Sister Ellen here present tonight, Dr. Felisa Washington, Minister Geraldine Moore, Sister Loretta Miller, Dr. Lavora Williams, Sister Nettie Johnson, Dr. Marion Talley, Brother Thomas Duke Robinson, who's behind the scenes there, doing all things with technology, make sure all these JPEGs pop up, and the background is working very well for you. And we're so excited, and thank God for our seven awesome, wonderful, super duper regional coordinators, Pastor Daniel Blackburn in the Northeast, Sister Brooklyn Rogers in the Southeast, Pastor Bernard Montgomery, Southwest 1, Sister Linda Copper, Southwest 2, Sister Teresa Fels Farr, the Midwest, Sister Norma Jackson in the West, and Pastor Richmond Johnson in the Far West. If you want to connect with your regional coordinator, email info@hopenbc, info@hopenbc.com. And we are working on some actual visits across the country. So let us know. We know that some of you have additional questions or comments. So we'll formally close today's webinar in just a moment. And then we'll open the mics for general Q&A session. We will also want to remind everybody that our next webinar will be Tuesday, April the 4th, 2023, for our next Temple Care Matters webinar. All right, we'll just put on your calendar. I'm sure you're already done. June 19th to 23rd will be our National Baptist Congress in Louisville, Kentucky. If you haven't already done so, want to make sure you go ahead and register. And it's going to be a wonderful occasion. All right, finally, we acknowledge our president, Dr. Jerry Young, who reminds us to envision the future exceptionally. This has been a production of the National Baptist Convention, U.S. Incorporated, the nation's largest Black denomination. God bless you and God keep you is our prayer.